Namaskar, this is Akhilesh Bhargava again. Welcome to Tidbits on Business and Finance with me. The present ongoing auction of companies and assets under liquidation before the NCLT presents a very lucrative, profitable, and perhaps never before opportunity to those with big bucks. It's a game of big bucks because the assets on sale are huge assets, but at very often either very throwaway prices or amidst opportunities which are very lucrative. It is because of this that Tata Steel has bought Bhushan Steel for about 35,000 crores and Reliance has bought Alok Industries, a textile major, for about 4,500 crores. For those who have the bucks, it is a time to buy these stressed assets, ramp up their production, scale up their operations, and ramp up their profitability. It is not that these kind of opportunities are available for every sector. The most lucrative or the sector in focus remains steel, engineering, and cement because these sectors are in boom, and anyone who buys these kind of assets certainly is in for a rapid scale up of profits and turnover. That is why Electro Steel got bought, Bhushan Steel got bought, Bhushan Power got bought, Amtech Auto got bought, Monet Ispat got bought, and Adhunik Metallics got bought. It is these companies which are in flavor, and the buyers, the intending buyers, are powerful big boys in the game. To be in the game, to buy these kind of assets, you need ready money because you got to have money on the table and talk. And only if you got the big bucks available, you are in the game. It is reported that Tata Steel raised a loan of about 30,000 crores. The Tata Group raised such a loan from banks in India to be able to buy Bhushan Steel. The big bucks are not with everybody, but for those where the big bucks are there, it is an all-out war to buy these assets because this opportunity is probably not going to come back again. And in the process of trying to buy these assets or buy these companies, the competitors are virtual enemies in the business. They need to outbid, outgun, outmaneuver the other to be able to be in the race. This kind of outmaneuvering or outbidding or outwitting could be in many ways. And one of the common ways we saw is to try to somehow disqualify among the contenders, to disqualify them from bidding from these assets. That is how ArcelorMittal was at one point of time disqualified from bidding for Essar Steel because it had an investment in Uttam Galva, and Uttam Galva was a defaulter to banks. Arcelor had to pay that money before they were eligible to bid for Essar Steel, and for which they are now locked in a bitter battle. The same was the case of Liberty House UK. They had to pay a sum of $2.8 million to Exim Bank to be able to bid for companies that they have been interested in. Incidentally, Liberty House UK has been a bidder for a number of companies, primarily in the steel and engineering sector. And out of all the bids that they have put in, they managed to bag Adhunik Metallics as well as Amtech Auto. But the executive chairman of Liberty House, in one of his recent press interviews, says that despite the Liberty House group being a $15 billion turnover group with operations in over 5 continents, despite that, he said that they are subject to a lot of scrutiny. He ruled the fact that they have not been welcomed with open arms into this game, and the government seems to be very cautious and skeptical about new investors. He even said further that they are not putting in somebody else's funds, they are putting in their own funds. So his question was, why are they being subjected to so much of scrutiny? The expectation of Sanjeev Gupta, the Liberty House chairman, that they should be welcomed with open arms in the game is actually quite misplaced. Liberty House is not setting up some greenfield large project in India where they are creating new assets, new enterprises that they should be given a warm welcome, as he says. They are in for a very lucrative game. They are in to buy companies for a song. They are in to buy companies for reasons of ready profitability. And there isn't any kind of a mehrbani that they are doing by bidding for these kind of assets that they need to be welcomed with open arms. And I'm sure Liberty is being subject to as much scrutiny, verification, due diligence as any other player in the game is required to be subject to. After all these mega scams that India has had, the bank frauds, the tightening of the tax evasion laws, the tightening of the money laundering laws, every entity is subject to background checks. Every entity is subject to verification, and Liberty House will be no exception. So they are being subjected to mandatory procedures, and those mandatory procedures are part of the game. But like I said, if they were trying to put up a greenfield project, it would have been very different. Here, they are trying to snap up distressed assets for a song, and there is no question of a warm welcome. They are welcome, but they are welcome in the game, subject to rules and regulations that everybody else is subject to. And let's also be clear, by trying to snap up assets in India, Liberty House is encroaching the domain of the local Indian biggies. The big boys of Indian industry, who are the domestic big boys, are bound to be aggressively contesting for the goodies on their turf. And Liberty House UK is an encroacher or is a foreigner on the domestic turf, and they are bound to be facing even more fierce competition. No local big boy would entertain or would want that something which is juicy, profitable, attractive, lucrative in his own domain is snapped up and taken away by somebody from another domain, particularly if it is overseas. And that is the case of Liberty House UK also. So he's welcome to invest in India, but this is not akin to investing in a greenfield venture where new assets and new enterprises are being created. He's snapping up distressed assets for a song, for lucrative prices, for very profitable reasons. And he's in the game as much as anybody else is in the game. This is Akhilesh Bhargava signing off till we meet again. Namaskar.